Coming to get you, Bobber.
Wolfman's got Nards!
Wolfman's Got Nards is a 2018 documentary directed by Andre Gower and explores the power of cult film told through the lens of the 1987 classic The Monster Squad and the impact it has on fans, cast and crew and the industry. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a documentary review and it's for Wolfman's Got Nards, and you're probably thinking, if you don't already know where my name came from, it came from the movie The Monster Squad. I'm going to do a little bit of a different setup today. We're going to do an interview style, a documentary style review, because it's not a movie review we're doing, it's a documentary review. I'm going to talk a bit about the reason for the name for my channel, Wolfman's Got Nards, later on in this video, but I'll start from the very beginning. The Monster Squad, it came out in 1987. Now, I didn't get to see this movie in the cinema. I was only 4 years old at the time when it came out, so obviously I wasn't old enough to see it, and it did bomb at the box office as well. So we'll get into that later on in this video as well. But I didn't see this movie till maybe 1989, 1990. I was about 5 or 6 years old at the time when I first saw this, and I fell in love with it. The same with most parents back then, they let their kids watch any movie. This was a 15 in the UK, but a PG-13 in the US. So I think the UK rating system took it a little bit more seriously than the people in the US. When I first seen this though, I fell in love with it straight away. I was just on the back of seeing the Goonies as well. I absolutely loved the Goonies. I know that Andre Gower and the guys behind The Monster Squad hate talking about the Goonies because everyone compares them, and you have to do that, especially when you're a kid watching them back in the day, because you want to be a Goonie, you want to be part of the Monster Squad. But I was more of a horror fan growing up, so as much as I loved the Goonies, and it is probably a better movie than The Monster Squad, I just resonated with The Monster Squad more because I felt like one of those kids rather than the kids from the Goonies. I wanted to hunt monsters, I had a potty mouth, I was more of a kid like the ones you see in The Monster Squad than the ones in the Goonies, and that's why when I was a kid growing up I preferred The Monster Squad. When you look back on the film today, I think most of the time I think of the good times of going to the video store as a kid with my parents, running up to the horror section. Yes, The Monster Squad was in the horror section, and just seeing that front cover and thinking I need to rent that movie, and I rented it as much as I could as a kid. We recorded it on TV, on VHS when it was on TV as a kid as well. It was on Sky Movies at the time, or Sky Premiere, or whatever it was called. Every time it was on, every time I had the chance to record it, I did. I also recorded it a couple of times thinking that I'm going to wear this VHS out, so I would always have a backup copy just in case anything happened to that, and I always did to this day. Well, not to this day. And then the movie disappeared, and just like the documentary mentions that the movie had a bigger following when it came out on VHS. Nobody went to see it in the cinema. It came out 2 weeks after The Lost Boys. Nobody saw it, nobody heard of it. And then when it came out on VHS, not VHS, when it came out on TV, I watched it, I loved it, I told my friends about it, and nobody ever heard of this film, and it really annoyed me because I'm like, it's a group of kids that go fight monsters, etc. And they're like, oh, it's like the Goonies. I'm like, yeah, it's like the Goonies, but more on the horror side. So nobody ever heard of this movie, and it really annoyed me as a kid, but I always had that VHS copy just in case. And then it disappeared. After it came out on TV, it disappeared. It came out on VHS, it disappeared, and that was it. Until, like they mentioned in the documentary again, 2006 came and there was more love for The Monster Squad. I never lost the love for The Monster Squad. I always spoke about it, and I always watched it. So the love never died for me, and I never forgot about the movie whatsoever. But then in the days of the internet, I came round and obviously searched for The Monster Squad all the time, went onto eBay, bought things on eBay related to The Monster Squad, and then eventually we got that 2007, I think it came out in 2007, the 20th anniversary DVD special edition, which I bought, and I also bought the Blu-ray as well a couple of years later. I think the Blu-ray came out in 2009, so it was a 30th anniversary. Even though it came out in the 32nd year, I still bought it anyway. It's up there. So you can see my collection. I've got the VHS, Blu-ray, another Blu-ray from Olive. This one was from a German company that I bought a couple of years ago, and this is just another copy that I made myself with a lenticular cover, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so that's my movie collection. So I no longer need to have it on VHS. I've got it in all different formats now. Being a massive Monster Squad fan, I went into this documentary thinking I'm going to see everything I've already seen online and images that I've already seen online, but no, that's not the case. This was obviously filmed 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and it took ages to come out, and I was dying for myself to see this because it did look great. And when I watched it, there was a lot of new footage, a lot of new behind the scenes footage that I've never ever seen before, a lot of behind the scenes images that I've never seen before. There was also a part of the documentary that was dedicated to Brent, who played Horace. He sadly passed away in 1997, and it was surprising to see that a lot of people didn't even realise that he passed away until the 20th anniversary of the movie. Now, I, being a massive IMDb fan from the beginning of time, I was on IMDb daily, and one of the movies that I searched for all the time was The Monster Squad, so I think I found out that he passed away just a couple of years after he actually passed away in 1997. But it was a very sad and heartfelt moment in the documentary because his friends and family were talking about it, his old girlfriend was talking about him as well, and he seemed like a really nice guy, and you could see the reaction to some of the fans who were getting the interviews. It did hit them. It hit me as well when I found out about it, because Horace was one of my favourite characters, and Horace, for those of you who don't know, said the famous line, "Wolfman's got Nards." That's the reason for this documentary. That's the reason for the existence of this channel. I created this channel because a lot of people didn't even know about the Monster Squad. This channel is not dedicated to the documentary. It's got nothing to do with the documentary. I created this channel back in 2011 and I absolutely loved the Monster Squad, and I found out that not a lot of people have heard of this movie, and I was so shocked that I thought, I'm going to create a YouTube channel and I'm going to call it Wolfman's Got Nards, in dedication to the Monster Squad and in dedication to Brent as well, who sadly passed away. And obviously it was one of the biggest lines in the movie, and I didn't think it would catch on, and it didn't really catch on for a couple of years. The first video, you'll probably be able to see it as well. The first video I put on this channel was a really bad quality music video that I made for Michael Sembello's Rock Until You Drop, and that was featured in the movie. They didn't mention that in the documentary, but I thought I'd mention that just now. We've got some really cool interviews as well with people like Adam Green and Seth Green as well, and a couple of others like Heather Langenkamp, and they all give their insights and what they remember about the Monster Squad. I did like a lot of the Fred Decker interviews and the Shane Black interviews as well, because those two were the ones that created the Monster Squad. But going back to Adam Green, I think Adam Green had a lot of good points, and I think that's the reason why I like Adam Green's movies. Some of his movies some people don't really like, but I love all of Adam Green's movies, and I think it's because he sees a horror movie through the eyes of a horror fan of the mid to late 80s, and his love and affection for the Monster Squad shows and it shines in his directing style. That may be why I like his movies more, and I think when you see interviews with people like Adam Green and how they remember the movie, it makes you appreciate not only the movie more, but appreciate them as filmmakers. Something really special that I loved about this documentary was seeing the amount of love this film gets around the world. People talking about their first time seeing the movie, showing it to their kids. It was so heartfelt, because everything that they were saying, I was like, I did that, I also done that, I remember that. I show my kids it, so everything that they're talking about is everything that I talk about to other people who have never seen the movie. So I get why it's a cult movie. That's one of the questions in the documentary. Is it a cult movie or is it a classic? I see it as a cult classic. Whether you love it or hate it, whether you've seen it or not, to me it's a cult movie that will live forever. One of the nicest things that I saw was Andre Gower going to people's houses, looking at their memorabilia and asking them questions in the interview. What do you remember about the Monster Squad? He's not just going there to do an interview and get this documentary done and walk away. He's doing it out of the love and respect for the documentary. You see it in his eyes when he asks a question to someone. His eyes light up when they answer the question, because he knows how much this movie means to a lot of people, myself included. He knows how dedicated those fans out there are, and he appreciates that, because he didn't realise how much of a following this movie had until about 2006. Same with the rest of the cast and crew, like Ashley Bank and Ryan Lambert, and even the director Fred Decker as well. I fortunately had the chance to meet Dracula, played by Duncan Reiger, and also Fred Decker as well, and both of them are great guys. I want to meet everyone eventually. When they were doing the 30th anniversary in London, I mentioned that I was dying to go and I would love to do it, and Andre Gower reached out to me at the time and said, why don't you come down? You can meet us and stuff. And I'd absolutely love to, but I just couldn't do it at the time due to work commitments, and it's something that I really missed out on, because that's in the documentary, people getting interviewed in the documentary. This documentary was one of the best documentaries I've seen, and it could be a bit of nostalgia that's making me say that. It could be my love and affection for the movie the Monster Squad, but I think that if you haven't even seen the Monster Squad and you watch the documentary, you would see that the dedication that people go into for a movie, not just like the Monster Squad, but any movies that are cult classics to them, to that individual, you see the love that goes into this movie. You see the love and the dedication that goes into this documentary as well. I think Andre Gower did an amazing job with this documentary. I think my only negative would be that I wasn't in the documentary. I'm only kidding. I would say though, guys, for fans of horror movies, for fans of late 80s teen horror movies featuring kids or that kind of movie, if you're a fan of that and you've never seen the Monster Squad, then you have to see the Monster Squad. This isn't a Monster Squad movie review. I will probably do another refresh of a Monster Squad movie review, but if you haven't seen the movie, please check it out. But for this particular video, if you haven't seen the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards, I urge you to check it out. If you've never seen the movie and you're not a fan of it, I think you'll still get something out of this. If you're a fan of movies, a fan of horror movies, just to see the love and affection that people have for a specific movie. If you've seen the Monster Squad or if you've seen Wolfman's Got Nards documentary, leave your comments down below, guys. Let me know what you think of both of them. And if you haven't heard of any of them, is that why you're wondering what my name was all about? Because I remember, and this is a claim to fame, Dead Meat, I was friends with Dead Meat on Twitter for a couple of years and we would always message back and forth, and he never asked me, but he was always wondering why I called myself Wolfman's Got Nards. And then a few months later he watched the movie he watched the movie The Monster Squad, and then he just realised why somebody on Twitter's got the name Wolfman's Got Nards. So it does sound like a really weird name to have as a YouTube channel, but if you've seen The Monster Squad or if you've seen Wolfman's Got Nards, now you know why. As always, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.